Everyone get ready. Everyone get ready. Pull yourselves together.
Compose yourselves.
I can't find myself to pull together.
Pull yourselves together. Try to really get into this moment as good as you can. Am I in the moment yet? Doesn't feel like I'm in the moment. Let's see. All right. What happens if someone gives you an entertaining idea of you cannot not be in the moment? Yeah, you're always in the moment at all times. And so when I sit down, get ready for a talk, what's already ready is already so. There's no preparation. You've already missed the boat in a way. Like when you go, you already missed the boat. What you are was already there before you think you're arriving at it. It's not a point that you arrive at. There's no center that you arrive at and then you become the representative of that center. Yeah? You are the representative of that center. There's no arriving there. Wherever you are and wherever you think you're not is that center. Yeah? There's no escape from what is. No matter what mental option is being entertained, I can be far from it and I can be close to it. So I do a retreat and I feel like I'm closer to it, which implies that you were far away from it to begin with. You're already defeated by 30 retreats. If you do 50 retreats, you just compound the dilemma that you believe there's a distance between you and you. Yeah? That has to be covered by doing something or having something. It never ends. We're always constantly trying to get something, but the whole solution is to receive nothing. And if you keep receiving nothing for a while, you're going to get a real special something. But it's hard to return nothing either, right? It's difficult to return it. But something you can always sort of give up on. But nothing is nothing. Yeah? It's such a beautiful fact. All your shenanigans can't change it. Yeah? All your idea of trying to put it off into a future point or a geographical location like the Himalayas or a certain practice or a physical position called an asana or a special therapeutic way of communicating that's more non-dual or whatever, none of that does a damn freaking thing because the evidence of the obviousness of what's so is so damn obvious. It's just a relinquishment of all the desire to do something. Nothingness of it all gets revealed. Yeah? So the revelation is there, and then there's the apparatus that says, all right, now I'm going to entertain the revelation. No, that's way too late. Yeah? The revelation is there, and then the head goes, I, as this, am going to entertain the revelation. The boat's already gone. Yeah, you were already on the boat. When you were planning to buy your ticket and you're trying to figure out how can I get the best seat? I want to be near the captain, I want to do this. Hey, I think if I treat the captain nice, I'll even get a better seat. You're already on the boat with all those shenanigans. It's just a recognition. It's even prior to a recognition. The recognition is actually too much time and space. It's prior to a recognition. It's before the first inhalation, and it's after the last exhalation. It's the basis of all basis. There's no compounding it nor extracting from it. It's already so. It's actually prior to the beingness. It's like nothing without a first. Instead of one without a second. It's nothing without a first. The recognition is too late. Yeah? To take a breath and get ready to entertain it, it's too late. It's moving so quickly, it's still. Yeah? It's so fast, you can't notice. It's so constant, your mind can't pick it up. It's like the fish being totally oblivious that it's in the medium of water. So it's getting books and it's reading about what it's like to be wet because it has a sense, because of its unconsciousness, that it's not wet. Maybe unconsciously or consciously, usually very unconsciously or subconsciously, there's a belief that it's dry, which sets off the seeking of wanting to get wet. And all the while, it's reading all these scriptures about being wet in the ocean. It's wondering why the pages keep getting stuck. You can't see, because it's wet as hell. You're totally sopped. Yeah? It's like that old Zen saying. There's a teacher there and the people are there, and the teacher goes to him, it's funny. It's like I'm a guy standing by the river selling water. Yeah? It's hilarious, isn't it? I'm a guy standing by the river selling water. I'm a guy selling you a map of how to get through the gateless gate. I'm here trying to sell you a subscription to the open secret. Yeah? I'm here to show you the secret handshake that will open all the gateless or all the doorless doors. What do you mean a doorless door? What would we have to do to open it if it was doorless? Exactly. Or the open secret. What does he mean by an open secret? Exactly. A secret isn't a secret if it's open, yes? A gate is not a gate without a gate. It's the gateless gate. What are they talking about? In other words, right at the moment of looking, you are already that. Like St. Francis says, what's looking is what you are looking for. Yeah, it's beautiful. What's looking is what you are looking for. With no amendments or considerations or requirements of any way of what's looking. Yes? You don't have to be looking a certain way for you to be the what's looking. See, that's what happens, I believe. We believe we have to find a certain way of looking that will access what's looking. Yeah? You and I have to find a special way of looking that will access us to what's looking. But what's looking is all of you and me that when we're looking for anything. Yeah? And when we're not looking for anything, we're also that what's looking. The what's looking is sort of, in a way, I don't like the word looking because they're seeing, yeah? And in this place, I find, watching myself and others, in this place, we're trying to find ways of looking. Yeah? And so you have one way of looking, let's say self-centered, which is like the basic standardized version of looking here, is self-centeredly. So you see things how they pertain to you as a body and a brain, and you're in time and space, and you're worried about what's going to happen to you in the future, and you reminisce and have ideas about the past. The mind does anyway. You don't do any of it, but all this is happening in the apparatus. So, and you're basically driven by self-centeredness. It's a way of looking. Yeah? And so some people, that way of looking starts creating dilemmas in their life. They have a lot of anxiety because they're always looking up towards the future, and the future seems bleak to them, and they're afraid of what the future is going to bring to them as this. So they tend to be very anxious. They call it fear, but it's not fear, because fear is a valid emotion. If something threatened me right now, fear would probably be evoked, and it would tell me to take flight, some adrenaline would be released, and like that. Yeah? But most of us are in tons of anxiety because we're actually reacting to what's not happening. Yeah? That event that we believe may look like this and that and bring about this and that creates an anxiety. Yeah, it can actually create the effects of fear in the physicality, but it's not an impending momentary threat. It's made up. Yeah, it's like we talk about all the time. A lot of us are living in what's not happening. Yeah, we're in this little theater called Paul, and in that theater called Paul, first of all, with the name the Theater of Paul, that's what's not happening. There isn't a Paul, but let's go even closer. So there you are in the theater of what's not happening. In the theater of what's not happening, as we know, anything can happen. It's amazing up there. Anything can happen in what's not happening. So you can have cancer. Let's say it's Saturday. We all agree that it's Saturday. Someone came in here and thought it was Sunday. If one of us would say, hey, it's Saturday, you'd probably come to that admittance. Oh yeah, thank you, it's Saturday. You wouldn't be stumbling, no, it's Sunday, and go off, and try to show bogus calendars to support your claim. You just say, yeah, it's Saturday. I thought it was Sunday. Yeah, it's okay. So here, we're supposedly in Saturday, and now some of us are sitting in what's not happening. And as what's not happening, as Paul, and so Paul is thinking about what's going to be happening to Paul next Friday, yeah? Which it has absolutely no idea about, but it has plenty of ideas about. So let's say it thinks it's going to have cancer next Friday. It doesn't even have a doctor's appointment. I don't even know how it's going to find out it has cancer, but it's worried. So in the realm of what's not happening, it's in Friday, next Friday, but it's actually Saturday. And it's reacting to Friday. And unfortunately, the poor body and the nervous system and the lungs and everything don't know any better. So when the head is preoccupied with next Friday, the body reacts to it. So you actually get the feeling of fearfulness or contraction or wanting to avoid something that's not even there to avoid. And so what actually occurs is you're wanting to avoid next Friday, but what happens is your apparatus actually avoids Saturday because it shuts down on Saturday, yeah? With the idea to it believes it's next Friday it's shutting down to. Saturday is a beautiful, blissful day. Everyone's with their coffee, hanging out. We have the great webmaster here and all this going on. And in a sense, if we were actually in this neighborhood of Saturday, we would probably be able to respond and get, the apparatus. Your breath would get a little deeper, your nerves would chill out, your muscles would uncoil. Yeah, because you would be responding to what's happening here, which is really no threat, except for maybe the threat of boredom with me talking, but there'd be no threat to you. So you'd be sitting here and you could relax. And in that moment of relaxation, maybe your mind would unwind and your captured consciousness or attention could sort of shift directions and stop attending to you in the realm of what's not happening and maybe attend to other things, maybe the beauty that's in the room, maybe the consciousness, the sense of presence of other people. Who knows, yeah? But it's a nice gamble. So there you are in what's not happening, and anything can happen. And unfortunately, your apparatus is reacting to that. Now, thank God there's another place called what's happening. And in what's happening, it has one quality what's not happening doesn't have, which is it's happening. Yeah, it's the only quality it has. Now, what's not happening has thousands of things that are not happening. What's happening is defined by something, and only one thing can be happening in what's happening. So in one way, to the mind, that's not very attractive. There's only one thing that's happening. In what's not happening, I can respond to thousands of things. I can react to thousands of things. I can just go off in this little amusement park. But here, there's just, hey, what's going on? And usually your take will be just that. It's boring. Shit, nothing's going on here. Let's go up to the porno theater of what's not happening and watch Debbie does Paul or something, or Paul does Dallas, or whatever. So, you know what I mean? You go on in there. And yet, though, that little realm creates a lot of suffering for the quote-unquote individual. Yeah? Also, you're living in interpretation, totally. So you're not actually alive. Even though the biggest thing you're afraid of is dying. But you really don't, it's so hilarious because you're basically dead for all intents and purposes, and you're entertaining this huge fear about dying. That's why people who are usually locked into this moment don't have much concern about dying because they're alive. The people who have a real concern about dying are actually dead. It's funny. It really is. It's funny as hell because you would think that they'd be so sick and tired of being dead that they may like to die. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's this huge fear of dying because they're not alive. So here's the situation. What's happening? Liking it or no, it's happening. And that one quality can override every aspect of what's not happening because of one simple difference, which is it's happening. That's all that's needed. So there's your little antidote. Everyone's looking for an antidote daily. There's your antidote. Just tell the truth. Are you in the porno theater, eating those stale jujubes and, those theaters smell a lot and everything like that. And, it's the same old, basically. Or, there's a possibility you can be here. At least locate yourself. And then when you're here, certain things become obvious. Let's say if you're always in there, in what's not happening, there's a thing called here and there. There is a thing, there is conceptual ideas of here in that there. They're not here, but they're the here that's seen in not there. And the here that's seen in not there sucks. It's boring, nothing's happening. Yeah, it's like a drag. I'd rather be there. I'd rather be in the there instead of the here. Yeah. But all of that's there. There's no here in any of it. Here, I'll tell you, is very attractive if you land. It has a sort of pull to your attention that can actually break its bondage to its slavery to the identification as being a self. That's selfing. Yeah? Your attention can be relieved, or that bondage to that can be broken easily in this moment. It cannot be broken in what's not happening. It's impossible. All the ideas of it being broken in the future or that it was broken in the past is actually a reinforcement of the bondage to the selfing. Yeah? So when you think that you had a real great moment once a long time ago, that you were free, you're using that in what's not happening to sort of deny what's happening. Because you're judging what's happening and it doesn't measure up to that moment that is in what's not happening. And then there's also the future that, when I finally do this or meet that person or go to that retreat or finally do my 800,000 pranams, then that moment will be unbelievable. Yeah? But that moment is appearing in what's not happening. And so that moment, being a mythical, beautiful, perfect moment, is actually being used by your head to invalidate this boring, empty, nothing going on moment. But this is where the whole place is happening. This is the solution. This moment. This is all there is. This is the only show in town. Yeah? So, this is never what's not happening, and then there is something that's happening. When you basically just start telling the truth of being in this vicinity of this moment, there's not a big charge, just in the vicinity. While you're in this vicinity, some things that are obvious in this moment will start becoming obvious to you because of why you're conscious. You're conscious. Yeah? If that consciousness or attention or awareness is given over to what's not happening, it will be unconscious. It'll cause you to be unconscious. Obviously, you're not unconscious, but the appearance of unconsciousness will override the imitation of this moment. You won't see it. You won't hear it. You won't feel it. You won't taste it. You won't touch it. You won't entertain it. Yeah? So being conscious, or your attention, being conscious of what's not happening, makes you, for all intents and purposes, unconscious here. Yeah. But most of us go in, we want to start becoming conscious, but we start from what's not happening. And no consciousness is ever going to be arrived at in what's not happening. Because all the while we're attending to what's not happening, there's the imitation of consciousness. You're conscious. Yeah? You're conscious of the thoughts and the mental images that are creating the structure of a future and a past. You're aware of it. That awareness itself is the solution. Not to be aware of something else, just the awareness. The act of being aware of whatever it is you're aware. If you're aware of next Friday, your conceptual ideas about next Friday, that awareness is the key. Yeah. Not the awareness that you hope you're going to find in next Friday, but the awareness that's allowing you to see the thoughts about next Friday. Yeah, that's it. So at all times, everywhere we are, the availability of the message is right there. It's in what you call Pauling or Michaeling or Rickying. It's right underlying that. That beingness is always screaming its revelation. But we don't have the eyes to see it or the ears to hear it. Why? Because our eyes and ears have been given over to what's not happening. We've taken the form of what's not happening. It's called Ricky. It's called Paul. Paul is not happening. It isn't. Paul is not happening. This is like life, this is life without Paul. But in what's happening, life without Paul is just jam full, chunked up with Paul. Yeah? And our mind would rather dwell in what's not happening because Paul is the big star there than to drop into what's happening because there is no Paul. And, we're looking for solutions and advantages for Larry or Paul to do better, but the real greatest advantage or or solution to the dilemmas of being Ricky is realizing you're not. Now, Ricky may not like those solutions because it wants itself to be there when it gets good. But I've noticed if you're waiting for it to get good, for you to be there, that's why you're still waiting. The party gets really good when you leave, yeah? In a sense. And the fact is, it's very difficult. Okay, so people entertain that. All right, so how do I leave? Well, we're giving it you the most quickest way. You never were there to begin with. See, if we had to get rid of you, it'd be a drag. You never try to throw out a drunk at a party? It's very difficult. When is this guy going to leave, Paul? I don't know. He's a friend of mine. So he's 6 in the morning. Yeah? So the whole solution is we're not trying to get rid of Michael. Yeah? All we're telling the truth is there's never been a Michael to begin with. So the best way to get out of what's not happening is that you were never in what's not happening. Yes? You have never lived in the realm of what's not happening. And therefore, there's no need to try to get a passport to get out of it, or buy a ticket to get out of it, or sign up for some retreat or anything. You have never been in it. That's the solution. If it isn't that solution, then that's a problem. Because now you enter the realm of problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. And that's what happens in what's not happening. Yeah?
Who's
Problems
on the phone?
appear, and then there's a need for a solution, and then you try to get a solution, and then another problem shows up, and you don't see that in the long run, you're living in this dilemma called problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. Now, when you're really in it, let's say if a lot of your houses are on fire all the time, then it's nice to find a water source, yeah? Get some pails, get some nice long hoses, yes. But the whole point is, hopefully, when some of the fires simmer down, you'll entertain that there's a fireless state, yeah? That what you truly are is truly sort of like asbestos to the circumstances and situations of this world.
We got a phone caller.
Can we see who he is? What's your name on the phone?
But I'm talking.
Avis.
What's your name?
Avis.
Avis, where are you from?
I am from Texas.
From Texas?
Yes.
Thanks for your call.
Oh, you're welcome. Paul, I hate to say this to you, first call in, but I'm over at Pal Talk, and we're listening to you, the Mafia Pal Talk room.
Yes.
And we had a discussion about an online friend that died, and while I was driving around, a thought came to me: if we're never born to ever die, then why is it in the now, in the present, that we don't have contact with not that person, not that body? And I hope you can hear this because I can't find the words. But with that consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that lives through that body, why is it we can't seem to have contact with that? If everything comes from the no thing, then the spirit or the consciousness should, well, I don't want to use the word should, but you would think it would be available for conversation. And I'm going to just sit and listen.
Available for conversation? No.
Well, to have contact with or awareness of. I'm talking, I guess you could use the word ghost, spirit, soul, whatever.
Yeah. No, but see, you are that awareness. But it needs an Avis to be aware of it. See, there is just the awareness. If there's a desire to be aware of something, that doesn't work. Because there's been a separation now. So there's just the awareness. So you're prior to even having contact with it. So what that person was, or actually what he was appearing not to be, which is that awareness, you are that. So what contact is necessary? But am I going to get in contact with Joe or Uncle Fred on the other side, and that consciousness is going to talk as Uncle Fred? Probably not. Yeah? So that awareness, we're all prior to that, needing even contact with it. contact is to me is another step that separates you from it in a subtle way and creates a distance that your mind can say that you'll never be able to navigate. So now you'll live being unconscious that you're conscious because you don't feel like you're in contact with it. Yeah.
Well, I knew that I would stumble in the words because that makes a separation to me.
Yeah.
And so I just couldn't find the right words to say it. I mean, it's right there in front of me. But it's before this person came into that container, that body.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Would a spark or a piece, I don't know the word to use, be in that, of that being that was in that body, that personality, that presence?
No.
Oh. Okay, I'm going to have to sit with that. Huh. All right. Well, I thank you, Paul. I'm sure we'll have more discussions about this one.
I'll be in Pow Talk soon.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, I'm going to continue listening. Great.
Yeah. I'm going to
program.
speak a little, I think, about that because there isn't like a special spark. This is just an opinion. I'm here in this apparatus seemingly, but let me throw out what I don't believe there's 1,000 different flames of the one flame, and that the 1,000 different flames hold a sense of being unique and separate, and then they lose that and they merge back as that unique and separate flame with the sense of being the unique and separate flame into the flame of all flames. So there's a sense of being Paul the little flame getting absorbed by the unknown nothing, no thing flame. And with the hope that that little spark of Paulness in that little flame won't be lost in the giant bonfire of unlimited awareness. I don't believe that's so. It's not in my sense of it. Again, I really believe in a way the sense of selfing, the mind in selfing always wants to make itself relevant, even in the passing away from this place. It always wants to be somehow that it had something to do or have with it. Yeah? Like, I was so important, the M&M, the chocolate and the shell can't be separated now. So the chocolate of awareness is still going to have the resemblance or the remembrance of Paul, the shell, that it was being seen as. I don't believe so. Yeah. So.
Well, the only other thing that comes to me is, and I've never had this experience, so I cannot speak from that place, is there are people that claim that they've seen ghosts or disembodied spirits, and then there are other people that speak of reincarnation. And I've never experienced that. I don't. One person in particular that spoke to me about seeing a ghost, I did not feel they were lying. And
of course they can see a ghost. Anything can happen here because it's not happening. So there's ghosts and demons and angels and everything. You can see the mind, whatever it can imagine, can see it or think it perceives it, but that doesn't give it a reality. But the other aspect of it is, I lost the other one already. What was she saying the other second?
Ghosts.
Reincarnation.
Oh, the reincarnation. I don't believe in incarnation. I don't think something that you never did, I don't think you do again. But hey, what the hell? The apparatus may incarnate, yes, or appear here, but this isn't a real place in my sense. So anything can appear here. And I guess if you're in the realm of in the realm that anything can appear here, why not do it again so it can reappear here? But that doesn't mean there's any relevance in it other than here. So I don't believe there's incarnation, so therefore I don't believe in reincarnation.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And Richard, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Avis.
Thanks,
All
Avis.
righty. Bye-bye.
That was cool. This is like, wow.
You were talking about getting pails of water.
It's very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Next to the river.
It was really cool, though, because it was like, it was cool. It is cool. I was displaced out of displacement. It was great. Oh, the pails of water, yeah. So in life, a lot of people, it seems to be that they're suffering. Yeah, their houses are burning down. So you point out to them where the pails of water are. Yeah, and you even may help them with the pails. But then hopefully, it's like this. I use it for an old story in recovery. In recovery, they have a statement called being convinced that self, and convinced means to believe with certainty, that self, and we mean the small s, not the what some people believe to be the universal self. We're using it as the identification as the body and the brain, yeah? The idea of being a long-lasting, separate, independent entity. That's what's represented in this statement. So being convinced that self, and then it says manifested in various ways. So manifested, one word definition for it is appearance, yeah? When something manifests, like some money manifested in my life, that would be an appearance. Money made an appearance in my life, and it hadn't been appearing before, so there was a manifestation. So self, this thing I call it selfing, manifested in various ways, is what has defeated us. Yeah? So it's like getting to a point of investigation. So I've come to the point that, yes, this idea of self manifests in various ways is what has defeated me. Yeah? Okay? Now it says, okay, we're going to look at some of its, meaning self's, common manifestations. And so the next part in the recovery is that you do an inventory process. And so we look at some of the grosser manifestations of what we call self in life, which is resentment is one of them. And resentment means to re-feel something that provoked anger or was seen as a threat in your life. You have a resentment, you re-feel it. So a situation occurs now, and you don't respond to what's happening now. You have a reaction from the past, because that's all this is. This is what's representing us as this apparatus is a memory cell. It's a storage cell, yeah? And so even we call resentment, but really you're re-feeling and rethinking everything. You're not, but the apparatus is rethinking and re-feeling constantly. That's why we're living an interpretation. It's not an experience. It's just a rehash of things constantly. So being convinced that this self, this movement of mind, believing it's a long-lasting, independent, separate entity, is what has defeated us. We'll look at some of its common manifestations. We're not going to get into all of them. We're just going to look at some of the ones that are really maybe screwing with you in life. So one of them we'd say would be resentment. The other one, the big one, obviously, is fear. Yes, and then harming other people. And we look at where do we harm people a lot? Well, in pursuit of sex. Yeah, that's a big instinctual drive in the apparatus. Yeah, so we'll look at it. Okay, and then it says the next statement. It says resentment. Yeah, is a big offender in our lives, and then fear and these other things. So what I believe it's saying is that some of the expressions of self in one's life are called resentments, fears. Yes, hurting other people in the pursuit of what you want, and then there's tons of others. But let's just look at them. So what I do is I like to draw a picture of it, because communicating with pictures is the way to go. So the picture I have of it is, let's say you had a beautiful lawn in your life, in your house, and you had a nice deck, a porch, and then the lawn was gorgeous, and you had pine trees that went around it, and you used to go out there and run around in the morning dew with no shoes on and do like snow angels and have picnics and play croquet, and a lot of your life was based on that lawn, yeah? It was incredible. You really enjoyed the hell out of it. One morning you jump off the porch into the lawn and you step in some doo-doo or shit. And immediately your life shifts. Immediately. You don't walk around, you don't jump on that lawn with no shoes on anymore, because now you're afraid of stepping in shit. So now you get on the porch and you reconsider. So you say, I'm going to walk around the lawn, and you walk around the lawn and you see there's a lot of shit all over the lawn, and it actually smells. So what do? Well, you go back in the room, and then you just hope that somehow it's going to disappear. Yeah. Let's just avoid looking at this. And so close the blinds, and then the next morning you go out, there's even more shit. Yeah. So now you give up. So now you just pull down the blinds and you start getting pictures of lawns. Yeah. You put them in your room, and you sit and you invite people over, and you say, I thought we were having a picnic. No, we're just going to sit and look at the pictures and reminisce about all the nice picnics we had in the past. Look at that beautiful picture of lawn. But it's a nice day. I know. But look at the picnic. Remember that picnic we had about 3 months ago? Yeah. It's not really working, but hey, it's the best I can do now. So what happens? Some guy comes over one day and says, listen, I think I have a solution for you. You go, yeah, I'm open to it. What's happened? I like to be able to enjoy that lawn. He says, here's some poopa scoopers. Yeah. If you get good at poopa scoopering, yeah, you'll be able to have a moment or two where the lawn will be pristine like it once was. And maybe if you really work hard and really are vigilant, you can maybe get a 2x3 piece that you can keep pretty clean. Okay? So you start doing that. Bum, 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 bum. And every once in a while, for about a half hour, it's clear. So you jump on and you try to remember and you're enjoying it. And then you go back to get a glass of water and there's some shit again. And you're getting really good. Now you're using 2 poopa scoopers at the same time. Picking up. And you're pretty damn good at it. And people are calling you about the same dilemma they're having. How do you get a little opportunity to enjoy your lawn? I say, well, you get good at these poopa scoopers and get really fast, and you may have a bit of that lawn back, and you can have a little bit of fun. You can't have a picnic, there's not enough room, but you can at least sort of stand there and reminisce. Okay, so you're really good at poopa scoopering. So now someone else comes over, and you're going on lecture tours and putting out little DVDs, how to poopa scoop, and then you're the master, right? Getting very good. And so an identity has been formed. You're now identified as a great poopa scooper. So now someone else comes in and brings you a message. And the message is what? They go, hey, do you want a solution to it? And you're, no, I got it down pretty good. I got a respect. Everyone looks up to me. They call me up. I got a little poopa scooper hotline. Got a little website. Everyone's calling me in. It's pretty good. Donations, everything. I don't know if I want a solution. So, well, here's the solution anyway. Sit down. And so they go, and the guy goes, I go, what is it? And he says, find the dog. What? Find the dog. If you find the dog and you get rid of the dog, I bet you won't have any more shit on your lawn. And then you can hang up those poopa scoopers and really enjoy your lawn. And you're like, well, I don't know about that. Because now you're sort of identified and attached. Your head is about being a great poopa scooper. So you may have a resistance to the message that you can be actually free from all this shit. Not manage it better, not be really good at keeping it cleaned up, but actually be free. Be established back to that pristine lawn if you just find the dog. Now, the dilemma is you're probably identified as the dog. Yeah? So you can't entertain being free of it. But if you see that self or selfing is not you, then that mind that was enslaved to that idea of being the dog will entertain it can be free of the dog. That's the beauty of the message. Instead of getting relief for self, you'll get relief from it. And relief from it is radically long-lasting here. Yeah? Relief for it is just slavery. Because you're going to have to get relief for self constantly, over and over and over again, because your lawn's going to have a lot of shit on it. Yeah, hold on a second. So this is the thing, is find the dog. That's the clarity of the message. Yeah. The dog's gone, the shit's gone. Now, run around. Have picnics, play croquet. You can even go back in your room and watch and look at the pictures of the lawns if you don't like it, but you'll have the availability of the pristine lawn. If you get tired of your little virtual lawn life, maybe you'll go back and live again. Yeah? Yep. You have a question?
Yeah. Should I use my
phone?
Yeah. Okay. So Paul, thank you. My question's pretty simple, and I think you could relate to it as you talked about that. The dog. I'm in a little physical pain right now, and not feeling 100%, and so that pulls me into this body, right? And how do you deal with that? Because I know you've struggled with some physical pains at different times.
That pulls your attention into the body. It doesn't pull you into the body.
Okay.
That's how I deal with it.
Can you talk about it a little more? Or?
I can talk a little more, but that's what happens. The attention will go to the body. Attention is a basic conditioning. The captured attention to sort of be concerned about the body condition. Yes? So that's going to happen. But that doesn't imply there's a you that's going there. Yeah? The attention is a movement. Yes? But the awareness has movement in it, but it isn't movement in a way. That's the place to rest. So the attention goes where it's going to attend to, but that the way the mind interprets that, it implies there's a you that's now concerned about the body. No, there's just concern about the body, which is a natural situation here.
Right.
And see, there's concern about the body. When it becomes you are concerned about body, then a novel is written.
Right. It's my
Yes?
body.
Then a story, then like a newsletter gets sent out. Then it's made real. On and on it goes, yeah? When it's just concern of the body and there's not that coupling with the idea of being a you, there's freedom, even from the concern of the body. Yeah? Because your freedom is determined by circumstances and situations. There's inherent freedom. That's what you are. Even in the sense of being bound here, that does not mean there's a you that's bound. Here, there's a dualistic movement here. Everything appears in like two streams. So here, consciousness, which is the freedom, can appear to us to be unconscious, and then it can appear to become conscious. But the underlying fact is all there is consciousness. So the movements are just movements unless they imply to us that it's me that's moving. And so then we become identified with unconsciousness as I was unconscious, and now we become identified as a seeker who's going to become conscious. Yes? But all the while, the what's looking was the predeterminate inherent fact underlying all that movement of unconscious, conscious, pain of the body, no pain of the body. Oh, I feel free from the body today because it feels good. Or I'm bound by the body because it feels bad. Yeah? That isn't there's a you that can be free or not free. That's not the freedom. It's not freedom for you. It's from that you. And that freedom is inherently free. It's not based on situations or circumstances. Yeah? So it outshines circumstances and situations. Yeah? Even if your mind likes it or not. It never swallows. It never, it never takes a breath. That's its definition. That's all it is. It's aware. It's not like, oh, I was unaware and now I'm really aware. No, that's a movement here that the mind narrates a story about. But all there is that awareness. And I feel like all of us fall into all, right? Or like they say, all there is, the everywhere of everywhere is awareness. Well, I would imagine we fall underneath the classification of being everywhere somewhere, yeah? But why is it that we're not sensing it? Why are we not feeling it? If that presence is everywhere, and why are we seemingly not feeling it? Because we're engaged or identified, not we, but the mind and the captured consciousness is now addicted or put upon an identification as a body and a brain. And we're watching its fluctuations and taking them to be real, and we're not seeing the consistency or the constancy of what's so. Yeah? We want to have options here. I want to have the option of being really bad or really good. I want to feel really terrible or feel really great. I want to be special. There's no specialness in everywhereness. Yeah? You need separation to have specialness. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
This NeverNotHere.
this is great. You never
Yeah.
talk, and then suddenly you
What's
get this little beep, and then okay.
What's your name and where you calling from?
Joel Bridges. I'm calling from the Who Do You Think You Are room on paltalk.com where I'm listening to you guys.
Hello, Pal Talk.
Pal Talk. I'm in like a universe of Pal Talk. Where's my bottle? I'm gonna have a sponsor. My Pal Talk bottle. Pal Talk. If you ever go to Paul's Talk, you better drink Pal Talk.
That's next, yeah. What's your question?
Hello.
Question is, why is this not, we get a lot of folks that come into Who Do You Think You Are, and they've never heard of this stuff before, and then, of course, we've been playing Paul Hedderman stuff in there for, I don't know, ages now, and it seems awfully clear to me, and it seems clear to a lot of other folks, but why is it these people, so-called people, can't hear it? I mean, it just seems like it should be as clear as the nose on your face. Have you figured that one out yet, Paul?
No. But the thing here, at this place, in this appearance, there can be hearing and not hearing. That's what happens. Yeah? the fact is, while there's the what's looking is the what's looking when it seems to be not hearing, and it's also the what's looking when it seems to be hearing. Yes? The underlying fact is all there is what's looking. But here, what's looking can look like it's not looking, and it can look like it's looking. Yeah? But only in time and space. It's just like a movement.
I'm trying to figure out why this isn't plainly seen right upon the first listening by these so-called individual folks out there. What keeps that in place? Why isn't it easily seen?
What keeps that in place?
Why isn't it easily seen? I don't like I don't like why much, but
okay.
Because again, there's a movement to be identified with a sense of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity that can be seen or not seen. Yeah? But it's actually a form of looking. It's like everyone is seeing, but they're wearing glasses called ways of looking. And the glasses of ways of looking are actually how you live blind here, is by trying to look. So you're, in a sense, you're trying to look why the people aren't getting it. But that's just another pair of glasses. It's just seeing. Yeah? And if they're seeing, that can appear as not seeing. But while I'm sitting there and someone seems to be not seeing, there's the sense seeing. That's all there is. Yeah. To me, that sort of erases the sense of the why. I have no idea. I was just taking it personally all these years. I thought it was me. That's why they're not seeing it. It must be me. Self-centeredness. It must be me why they're not getting this. No, I don't know, bro. I wouldn't go there though if I were you. If you seem to have a choice, you're not gonna come back with anything valid. I have no idea, but the way I view it is there can be seeing and not seeing here, but that doesn't change the fact that all there is seeing. Yeah, there are appearances of not seeing and seeing. Yeah. So
at the point that you see what you needed to see in order to see what you see.
No, you're already seeing. That's the fact. That's unequivocal. There's nothing you can do to make that happen, or there's nothing that you can do to not make it happen. It's already so. That's the sort of the dilemma. Is the message that we're giving is a message of a new way of looking to bring about its own obsoleteness, so that the natural seeing will be emphasized or sensed. Yeah. But not as another way of looking. Just the natural bare seeing, the unadorned awareness, which there's nothing needed to be done or had for that to be availed. Yeah, it's already so. It's on offer at all times. But if you're busy looking from the point of view of being a self, that way of looking will hide you from that fact. Yeah.
So there's nobody to inform of this then?
No, of course not. We have a lot of time here. This is just like a puppet show. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's looking is having a great joke about hearing the message about what's looking. Somebody said this the other day to me. They say, well, what were they saying? I don't know. But yeah, it's just it's a never-ending joke in a way.
So, Paul, we have another room on Pal Talk by Edward Jones called Self-Transformation. Is it possible for self to transform?
Yes, but not into non-self. Self can transform a lot. It can take thousands of different uniforms. But the point is, what you are isn't a self. Yeah? Of course, if there's an identification as a self, and let's say a self is like bummed out and very nasty and mean, and then it practices a lot of stuff, there may be a transformation of that self where it's nicer and happier, and maybe you can go to a movie and not flip out, or enjoy a barbecue and not, get into a fight. That's a transformation of self. That's valuable here. But self is never going to transform into non-self. There isn't a, yeah? There isn't a long-lasting, independent, separate entity transform into its natural state. It's just telling the truth. It's not a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. That's it. So there's like no transcendence of something that's not real. You don't have to transcend something that's not real. The whole idea of transcending implies something was real that you had to transcend it. There is no self. Bingo. Yeah? So, of course, my self is the self here has transformed thousands of times. Supposedly I was a down and out junkie, and now I'm not. That's I would call that a transformation of self here, but I had absolutely nothing to do with it. That's what happens. Something that doesn't exist can appear many different ways. And it's in time, so it transforms. It's like goes through, like a moth to a cocoon to a butterfly, back, But that's just the appearance. What you are is not that. So, yeah, there's tons of transformation of self. Yeah? People are trying to transform self with plastic surgery. They're identified as their body and they're transforming their self. I live in Marin County. There's constant transformations of self. There's one lady, she looks totally different now as a body that I saw 3 months ago at Whole Foods. She had a total transformation of self, but that's not it. Hasn't she? She believes she's had a transformation because she's identified as the body. So her self has been transformed because she's identified as a body. So obviously, the idea of being a mind can transform. The mind can transform, but you're not that. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, self can transform. But what else? It'll just morph into another form of self. It's more selfing and selfing and selfing. There's spiritual selfing, and then there's crazy addictive selfing, and there's transformations in one day. There's transformations from one kind of selfing to another. You're with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and he's a very peaceful, compassionate self, and then 3 hours later, he's ripping you a new one. You know what I mean? Anger and hateful. What? How did his self transform so incredibly? It was like the wolf man, or, turn. What happened? Well, selves transform here. Well, what's so is so. There's no transformation in that. It allows you, the revelation of what so is so allows you to travel lighter through the transformations of selfing here. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
There seems to be some problems with communication between folks that seemingly are seeing the same so-called thing, that there is no... Now, some books that I've read say use a capital S for the self as opposed to a lowercase letter for the self. How do you make a distinction in terms of communicating the message to people without confusing the hell of folks that don't see what you're talking about?
I don't make much effort. If confusion happens, that's why, I just speak whatever. It just goes on, and I'm sure there are people right now, a very small group, because there's not many watching probably, but some of them are getting very pissed at me, confused. But hey, it's not up to me. I'm just a mailman, yeah? I don't want you to come home, follow me home, and hang out with me. I'm just slipping a little invitation, and then let's see how it cooks in you. Let's see what happens. To me, I have a great faith in it. I have the great faith that, like in Zen, they would say the enlightened mind and the same mind. So maybe, quote unquote, you as an ordinary mind are receiving this message, but I have great faith in the enlightened mind that you are. I have great faith. And sometimes confusion and this and that. To spend time on that is like you're missing the forest from the trees. It's part of realizing it's just the forest. Getting pissed off and confused. I have so many people walk out on talks and everything.
Say the percentage of folks are that get this message first time around.
The percentage of folks are? I haven't seen any graphs on that yet. Let's see. I don't know, bro. Yeah, that's why I actually like here repetition. Repetition I like a lot because I believe it is sort of like being in a trance or being asleep. And it's like the act of waking up in a way. You're not waking up as the thing that was asleep. You're waking up to the fact that all there is awakeness. So the idea of, oh, I was asleep and now I've woken up, that's not it to me. But in here you can help, or a sort of patient that can initiate a sort of like a call, like an alarm. And let's say that there's a waking up. There's a tendency, if you believe that you were asleep and now you've woken up, for you that you're identified as to go back to sleep. So then the repetition can be helpful. When the revelation whacks you and you realize you were asleep and therefore you're never the one that now got awake and that you've always been awakeness, that is cool. Yeah.
Speaking of awake, a dream one time, and I've bounced this off a number of people that have, very few have had the same, but I had a dream once where I wanted to wake up and thought I'd woken up, only to find out that I was still dreaming to wake up, and then finally come into this so-called reality that we call waking, wondering if I was actually awake. You've used a lot of analogies in terms of when you talk to folks. What kind of hints would you say would indicate that we're still, many of us, asleep?
Well, I like the view of, I like that one way of looking at it is you're the dreamer and you've dreamt this dream, and what's appearing as you in identification is the body, which is a dreamed object. So the dreamed object has taken upon itself to think it's the subject. Yeah. So when the dream object is confronted by a dream tiger, it sees it as a real tiger. Yeah. And it tries to learn how to live with a real tiger in its neighborhood and everything and this and that. And the solution is when you realize you're not the dreamed object, the dream tiger doesn't create any fear anymore in you. Yeah. So you're the dreamer of the dream in a sense. It's almost like undifferentiated light is moving through this body as a prism or as a projector. And then the condition, this apparatus projects the undifferentiated light and it seems to be differentiated. Yeah. But obviously, all the while it can appear to be differentiated, and one way differentiated is close and far, right? I was asleep, I'm now awake. All that's in the differentiation, but all of it is truly undifferentiated. That's the sense when the dream object is given up to be you, and you get connected with the dream object as the subject of the dream. Yes, the dreamer.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Paul. I look forward. I haven't had much time lately. We did talk about doing an interview with you sometime. I look forward to doing that when after the snow flies here. Getting ready for the winter here in central Maine.
Oh,
so thank you very much.
Right, central Maine, yeah. I'm going to New York next week, 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Let me extend an invitation. Large facility here in Maine. Drop by anytime. We've got a lot of different folks in the area that are interested in your message.
Well, get in touch with me, but I don't know about it in December or not. But yeah, please call me up and we'll talk about it. I like Maine. I actually lived in a tent in Maine, in Maine at outside of Arcadia National Park.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I lived in a tent there for a couple of months, man, with my dog.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
we're right in Farmington, Maine.
Well, you call me and let me know. Yeah, I'll do anything really.
All right, cool.
As long as you buy the ticket and supply some food, I'll go anywhere. I'm like a gunslinger.
And Richard, one more comment. Thank you for what you do as well, even though there's no you to do it.
Yeah, pipe NeverNotHere into Pal Talk, would you?
That's what we're doing. Every time you guys go on the air, we play it right live in the room for you.
Cool.
That's why you get so many calls.
Keep up the good work.
You know, sometimes in life you have, let's say you're in a relationship with a person and he keeps seemingly having a relationship, you know? It's like they call it like karmic. I must be karmically connected to Pal Talk. I have freaking no idea. It's unbelievable. Really.
What is Pal Talk?
It's like a chat room. Yeah. They
free family chat program.
Yeah. Yeah, it's trippy.
www.paltalk.com.
I've got some huge. If you look at it, you just add a U and it'd be Paul Talk.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you. How's this going with
care.
everyone? You like the Skype thing? It's sort of interesting, eh?
It is.
Playing around with new ideas.
It can get real fun, but there's a microphone here too, so everyone, let's mix it up.
John, come on in, bro. Over there. Oh yeah, we want you to make an appearance. Yeah. What were we speaking about then? About
Nothing.
Exactly. Yes. Nothing. Oh, that idea of that sense of believing you were asleep, and then you're going to have a wake up event. Yeah. That's not what I'm implying here. See, there wasn't anyone. What occurs is that you realize there wasn't anyone who was ever asleep. Yeah. And therefore, there's no need for an awakening event. An awakening event is just another way the conditioned mind, has claimed what you actually are and made it into an experience it had. Yeah? It's another way the conditioned mind claims what you actually are and makes it into an experience it had. See, selfing doesn't have a life, so it has to claim yours, yeah? Or the life that's living through this apparatus, or the life that's being expressed through. It has to claim it. So if you run into, which we all have, many, many moments where we were seeing life unadorned by the selfing, yeah, many of them, many, all day they're available, yeah, unadorned by the selfing. When a big event, let's say, occurs, and it really is like a major speed bump to the verb of selfing, it startles the verb of selfing where it stops, and the projecting noun of self stops. And there's a big gap where there's obviously no self. It is amazing how the conditioned mind regroups really quickly and shows up in the head on the screen and goes, oh, I just had this incredible spiritual experience. It's amazing. So your true address has been revealed, 77 whatever, yeah? And yet it makes it into a house you visited. Yeah, which what immediately, if your house becomes a house you could visit, it means you cannot visit it. You can be absent from it. You may even never go back there. You see how it does it? It's so beautiful in a freaking weird way. There's like an epiphany, which obviously none of us make any reservations for an epiphany. Yeah, you can't, you don't plan it. It doesn't happen to a self. So an epiphany occurs. And there's life unadorned as self. And then the selfing kicks up. It gets a big punch, startles it into submission. Yeah, the projecting of the noun of self stops. And so there's just living going on. And so it regroups, like, oh, it took a big shot from Mike Tyson, but it gets back. And it goes, oh, I, meaning Paul as this linear action figure, time-based little body, I just had this incredible experience. Let me go back and read some books and see if anyone else had these experiences. Yeah, and let me call up my friends and sort of compare my experience of total non-self with their experience of semi-total non-self, because I'm obviously had a deeper experience. Yeah, so now that event that is totally sufficient to sort of break the bonding to selfing has now been used as another link to that bondage to self. It's unbelievable. So the biggest threat it takes it and makes it a part of its greatest advantage. It's mind-boggling, eh? And it, no matter, I mean, you can't get a bigger threat than what's not real than real. When what's not real and real appear at the same time and they're both noticed, not real loses pretty quickly. It's like the fight's called off. There's no battle, yeah? For this to be able to take every example or sample of reality that's been expressed as you and claim it to be not what you are, Michael or Paul, is a feat. It's a major feat, yeah? And it can do it like that. It can take a major quote-unquote revelation and neuter it very quickly in like a half hour or an hour. Yeah? And it now becomes another experience that who had? You! As Michael, Paul, this and that. The one who's never going to be free, who's never the spirit, who can only become like spirit and maybe get some freedom by acquiring spirit. Yeah? That's the neutering effect. So life is constantly demonstrating to you all day, always available at all times, and your mind is very good at denying it, distracting you from it, burying it, interpreting it, just sort of just hiding it, veiling it constantly. It's an exhaustive job. That's why you're so burnt out. Yeah? Because all your mental activity is to deny the undeniable. It's unbelievable. It's to make what's totally real seem unreal to you by making other things seem real, like time, yes, and this and that, and troubles and problems and this and that. And so it occupies itself and gives those things all the meaning it can so that it can get the meaning that I'm Paul, which neuters the real meaning of life. It's incredible. It's amazing to watch when it does it. And what's beautiful is when you're watching it, if you can hold it as it's not you, yes? And it means that it was never you and it never will be you. It is not you, yeah? It was never you and it never will be you. Everything that appears to be you is not, yeah? Then you're actually seeing you're already seeing from what's looking at all times. But now you'll be privy to it. Yeah? There'll be an awareness of it. It won't be interpreted or dismantled or disjointed or evaded or distracted from. You'll sense it. And immediately your whole take and attitude on life will change. Instead of thinking you're the doer and the haver, you'll sense life happening through. It's like you don't take 8 months of courses to have the feeling of life is happening through. It's just a feeling immediately. Bing, life's happening through. It's not happening to me or for me or as me or by me. It's happening through what I call me, this apparatus. That's what it's doing. This is undifferentiated light moving through this, and it gets through the prism of all the conditioning and the identification as body and this, that, and it makes this world that I seem to be in. But in a sense, this is a dream object. But to the dream object, everything in the dream can be scary real. Because the dream object obviously believes it's real, and therefore the whole dream is real to it. So the best way to get out of the vicinity of that fear of that tiger is to wake up. When you realize it's a dream tiger, you're not going to be afraid of it. Obviously, you don't have to take courses of how not to be afraid of it. It'll just occur because it's clear as day. It's not real.
This might be a good time to elaborate on that gatekeeper, the house.
The gatekeeper, the house, what were we just talking about? Oh, well, we were just saying, so let's say Ricky lives 70, I want to say, so people don't come here. Ricky lives at 77, yeah? But the head immediately tells her a story that she was visiting 77. I mean, she was actually visiting 144. So, therefore, while she's at her home, she doesn't believe it's her home. She believes she visited her home, which is at 144. And if you believe you can visit something, then you can believe that you don't visit something. Yeah? The same thing with the idea of attaining or achieving something. If you believe that you attained or achieved something, that same head will believe that you can lose it if you stop doing what you thought you did to achieve it. Yeah? So if you believe that the peace of mind that you're entertaining has been produced by your effort, then what happens if you stop doing that effort that you believe produced it? You will now not believe that you can enjoy peace of mind. And you tell me who's playing God in that. I would say it's your head. Because now it's said the peace of mind that's inherently what you are has become a goal that you achieve by doing or having. And therefore, conversely, you can lose it by not doing and not having. Yeah. So it's like the same thing. Ricky forgets this is her house, and she thinks she's visited what she now calls home. And now she's going to practice all these things to get to that spiritual home that she once visited, but she doesn't live there. She lives here in this reality. And so now, as this, she's attempting to become spiritual. But how are you going to graft on spirit to a body? How's it going to take? It's actually going to fluff off because it's not a bonding. It's not a natural bonding. Spirit and body don't seem to mix in a sense, yeah? And so people now are trying to apply spirituality to their identification as being a body, and they believe they as a body are going to become spiritual. So now Ricky, all the while living where she's living, is trying to get to how she can get back to 141. Because that's where she thinks she had her spiritual home is down the street. That she has to do something to get there. Because if she doesn't do something, it implies that I'm here at this address and this isn't it. All the while, this is it. Yeah? So the act of affirming that some other place is what you're looking for negates the fact that this is what's looking. The mind. That's what it does. So you've already set up distance and lack of and not maybe ever getting there because it now has become a journey that you can sort of abort. Maybe you won't be good enough to reach it. Maybe you'll make some steps but always fall back. Somehow it will be back on you again. Once again, you'll be the God that informs you that you're close to God. Yeah. Or far away. So in a sense, we're searching, let's say, for God, but what's searching for God is playing God the whole time. So it's playing the gatekeeper. It's playing the doorman. So when you get to your house, it tells you you're a visitor. And these visits are probably going to be infrequent unless you follow this map. Unless you jump through these 20 hoops. And then you jump through those 20 hoops, you come back and you want to go into the house again. And it now gives you a new list. Nope, you missed a couple. I forgot to put these hoops down there. And on and on and on. All the while, time seems to be going by and you're living as if you're not in your own home. The recognition has now become an achievement that you can either go for. So therefore, your access to the presence is based on the absence. What's not happening is when you can travel to or away from what's happening. But all of that ticket purchasing and all the travel agents are all in what's not happening. So the pseudo idea of what's happening that appears in what's not happening isn't it. All the while, there's the entertaining of what's not happening. The solution is right there, always available at all times. You are that. You are the awareness of what's not happening. There isn't a special awareness you're going to find in a future event in what's not happening. That awareness, that dog shit awareness, or that ordinary awareness that you call as the projector of Rickyhood here, is it. That's it. That's the door. That's the gateless gate. That's the open secret. Because it's appearing as you. That's the secret. What makes it an open secret, it ain't you. It's always been available at all times, right where you feel you've been. Every moment. Every moment you think you weren't in the moment, you're in that moment. Every moment you really think you were in the moment, you're still in that moment. That moment overrides all the moments you think you can be out of and all the moments you were really in. It's a moment prior to the idea of a conceptual moment. You are that moment of living all the time. Now you're entertaining that I can be really in another moment that I call a great moment. And I can say, I really want to get out of this moment I'm calling a terrible moment. But the prior moment to those conceptual moments is that. You're that. So we're trying to get back to where we already are. It's hilarious in so many ways. It's freaking ridiculous. Like you're buying running shoes. You don't have to leave your house. I know this is going to be an arduous trip. I got to get those super hiking boots. You can wear slippers. You're trotting on it now. That big bear rug, just lay down. That's it. Oh no, I got to get my water bottle, I get my spiritual books, and my DVDs, my tapes, my NeverNotHere audios from Richard Miller. All right, now I'm ready. I'm ready to go. You don't have to leave your house.
I asked you this once before, but is it not exactly like having an addict steal your wallet and offer to help look for it?
Well, it's more like hiding your
Had
wallet.
it hijacked or hidden, but yet you're helping yourself find it.
That's right.
With no intention of it.
But you're not helping yourself. It's just self helping itself.
Self is trying to help you.
No, self is trying to help self. See, once you realize you're not self, then you see through it.
What's your comment, Rita?
I just wanted to ask Paul. I saw him on Monday in San Francisco, and I wanted to ask him what the practice is. Does he sit? Does he meditate? What does he focus on to when you're aware of not being in what's happening?
I don't offer any practices. I offer you nothing. That's really. I hate to say it. It's not really a good career move, but what can I do?
Okay.
Really, I offer you nothing. But there are plenty of stuff you can look into. But see, for me, the dilemma is it's good to know who's looking into those things. If what's wanting to promote you a better life isn't you, I think if you told that truth about that, your life would get a lot more promoted. Do you know what I mean?
It has already.
Yeah, to see what's causing the need to get better, to see who's telling you, who's informing you that you need to do some stuff to get, let's say, more aware. I would question that more than do a practice. Just see. If it's not you, you may not need anything, which is nothing. See? The other side of nothing is you might not need anything. That's nothing. When you realize you might not need anything, that's what I'm given. Exactly. That's exactly the message. When you entertain, I might not need anything, that's nothing. Yeah? Oh, it's the same exact moment. You go, hey, I might not need anything. That's nothing. That's what I gave you. I didn't give you, but that's it. You hit the point and you just entertain. Hey, I might not need anything. Boom, that's nothing. Yeah. And then maybe you'll do tons of things, but there won't be a you doing them because there never has been a you doing them. That's been the story. All the doings occurred, yes, but that doesn't imply there was a you that was doing any of them. So it is not like, all right, I was a you that was doing all these things, and now I've stopped being the you that was doing them. So now I'm a non-you that's not doing them. No, there was never a you that did any of them, but there was doing. Like Buddha said, there was events are happening and deeds are being done, but there's no individual doer thereof. That's not something that occurs here. That's the fact. Yeah. It's not like, oh, for a long time I was the individual doer, then I woke up and now I'm not the individual doer. No, there was never an individual doer. That's the fact. The story was I've been one and now maybe I don't want to be one anymore. But that's the story. Yeah. The fact is there was no individual doer of it. What? Yeah. So hopefully, again, though, if your house is on fire and you need pails of water, there are a lot of places to get pails of water. And there's some really good pails of water. I don't want to recommend them now, but there are good pails of water. But hopefully you'll entertain a fireless state, so to speak. Yeah?
Yeah.
So the pails of water will do a certain job now, but you won't be putting pails of water on an altar and worshiping them. They'll be used to promote the opportunity to entertain true freedom, hopefully. Yeah. To me, freedom is worth adoration. Freedom is worth devotion. Freedom. Yeah. So, and you're inherently that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on Monday.
Yeah, it was great to see you again.
Good. I'll see you. Yeah, again.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye.
This is an interesting little way of doing it.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
You replied to her and you said you had no practices.
don't know if I misinterpreted, but something that you said that I can use.
Well, if it's happening, it's happening. But I don't think it has to continue to happen. In this sense, Ramana Maharshi once said a beautiful thing, if I can remember. It says, in that revelation, there's no need to say I am, because there's no thought I am not. Yeah? It's beautiful. So while there's the thought seemingly taking place, it may be good to question. But at that point where that revelation, it becomes obvious, there's no need to say I am or I am not, because there's no thought of any of it. Yeah? You're freed from thought, in a sense. So therefore, what's obvious is so obvious. Yeah. Well, and yet, whatever helps or works for people to lend to that obviousness, I'm all for, but I don't like to tell people to do things, because sometimes when they hear that, there's a sense that they're going to be doing it, like they as a Robert. And I feel that really defeats the purpose of that practice. If there's a you that's getting reinforced as the doer of it, I think that's actually a disservice. So that's why I like to sit with nothing for a while. Yeah? So that maybe you can get a clarity about that doing and having modality. It's a strong one of mind. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that we're a separate entity, and how we move here is by doing and having. And that our whole nature has been made into a goal that we, as Paul, will do and have ourselves too. And it's a very strong conditioning. And that's why I think a lot of times eclipses people's practicing things, because the idea of being the one who's practicing it and is going to get through practicing something that's going to make them as that you better, I don't see that as good. You know? No, I don't like to use the word good. I just don't see that.
Right.
So I have a tendency not to offer, say, practices for people. They can find, there's tons of them. They can find them on their own. Yeah. Really.
Well, in the sense, it originates from some organized, ongoing entity. That's not my experience of that question. It's not that there's an ongoing entity that makes a practice of who is experiencing this, who is asking this question, who is this. That it's more like when I find myself in a particular rabbit hole of being locked in a position. Occasionally, and it seems like grace that comes from somewhere, comes the thought, and it's, for me at least, inspired primarily by my experience and memories of interacting with you, is the question of who is asking this question. And somehow that particular thread leads me back to generally what it leads back to is some formulation. I realize, that's an idea or conception of myself. And as soon as I see that, I realize that is not me. And all of a sudden then, and the question and all of it disappears, and there's the moment. So
cool. Well, that's cool. And yet, and underneath that, there's something prior, quicker in a way. So any practice that's worth its salt, it becomes obsolete.
Yes.
Because it leads to the freedom that it's hopefully pointing to. So that to me is the real thing to worship, or if you want called, is the freedom, not the practices. Yeah? They have their functionality here, let's say, but they're not the freedom. They're just, you are the freedom. And that's so beautiful. Yeah? Isn't that what he's wanted? Something that
yes.
Couldn't be, exactly, something that it wasn't dependent on others for me to have, or because this place is a crazy place to depend on, this world. Because people, even with the best things will occur. Yeah? So.
One more.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm ready to keep going.
Well, what has helped me a lot
Everyone else is wilting, but
with alcoholism is in the first step saying that drinking is not an option. That keeps me from having to decide whether to drink or not. I just automatically ask myself, is this a sane option? But it almost seems like you sometimes get very close to, saying there are no options. So even thinking is not an option, or planning or hoping or, reminiscing. None of these things are really sane options because you go so wholeheartedly into, non-duality that you're almost telling us if you're looking at something as if there exists an option, you're already making possibly a mistake in that.
Well, yeah, this place is, there are options that, but the real fact, it's choicelessness. Yeah, there is just
Which makes
what's
everything
so.
easy.
But the mind, just like in recovery, abstinence is a word that we don't talk about much. But abstinence is where you just don't do anything. Yeah. So that big dog of mind, addictive mind, goes to sleep, and then you get the run of the house, as long as it's asleep. But as soon as the idea of an option is brought into things, oh, I could do this, I could do that. That generates the activity of selfing so much. It's not even. You're in the disease before you ever drink or do the drug, because now you're entertaining options where there's really no option for you. You know what's going to happen as the apparatus if you put that thing into you, but you're entertaining it as if there is an option. Yeah? That's the insanity of mind. So in a sense, in a way, there's if you want to call it a spiritual abstinence, there's an abstinence where you're not engaging or eating or sitting at the table of options. Yeah? The fact is, there never was a Paul. So there never will be, and it's so clean and perfectly beautiful, and there's no time injected in it because it's prior to options. It's prior to an option that I was awake or asleep and now I'm awake again. No, there's only awakeness. There was never a Paul that could be awake and asleep. There's neither. Yeah. So to me, it's just like, it's so quick. It's quicker than time. But as soon as the mind goes into options, selfing gets going. And to me, you may think the result of that is the disease, but to me, that's the disease for me, is that being preoccupied with the selfing. Part of that may be the use of the drug or the alcohol, but that's just part of it. But the disease is already kicked in because the mind has entertained an option. Yeah? That's the dilemma. And so what happens to me here, we've entertained options because of our identification as a body, that all this can happen to us and not happen to us. And it's the mother and father of all the selfing, is the idea, because with the options, we're denying the fact of all we are is consciousness. That's what it is. You entertain the fact that you can be unconscious or conscious, which actually denies the fact that all there is consciousness. So it's in dualistic option entertaining. That to me is selfing. That's what mind does. And that selfing is a way of distracting you from the obvious fact, consciousness. You believe in the fact that you can be conscious and unconscious. That's the option that the mind is entertaining. That's selfing. That's what selfing is. Selfing breaks into a dualistic entertaining of options. So I can be bad, I can be good, I can be close, I can be far, I can be loved or unloved, I can be nice, I can be terrible. All of this stuff, but all the while, all you are is what's looking. Yes? You are that seeing. But now you've taken that seeing, just like we do with eyes, and you've put on a pair of way of looking with two ways of looking. Good, bad, beauty, ugliness, close, far, near, good, I'm totally conscious, I'm unconscious. And now we're looking, and the looking has bastardized the seeing. And a lot of us are attempting to get back to the seeing through this distorted way of looking, dualistically. It can't happen. Because it's in the seeing which is seeing, not broken into ways of looking. Not left, right, not high, low, not close, far, not evil, grace. None of that. That is a false act of distortion and proportionate stuff going on the mind's doing, based on its entertaining an option that it could be something other than it is.
That injects time into
it. It injects time because you need time to entertain options. To entertain an option, for you to have two options, there has to be time. One to entertain one option and time to enter the other time. So therefore, you're denying the timelessness of everything, and then you go off. The mind just goes like a herd of horses, just starts running rampantly based on all these options. The options: I could be super sick, that I can die, yes, that I can be unloved when I'm the source of love, that I can be scurrying around for peace when I'm the source of peace. These options are totally insane, yet the mind's entertaining them. Yeah? And so, of course, that entertaining of the options that are totally cannot be based on fact create dilemmas, and then we try to find new ways of looking, but they always have two pairs of lenses, which is that dualistic way of looking of subject-object, which you'll never see the wholeness of anything from. Yeah? It's impossible. So that option that we've entertained, we're attempting just to question that option that you're an effect of. What's appearing as you is an effect that seems to be go down the line of time and is appearing as you right now, with all the options that you've entertained geometrically progressing to where you seem to be. We're just trying to go back to the point where there is no option. Your consciousness, your spirit, that's that. What? Yeah. What is it giving you? It's giving you nothing of all those myriad somethings the options give you. It gives you nothing but a fact. And then you rest on the fact, and it gives you a way of traveling later through all the somethings, yes? Because you don't see any of them as implying there's a you. You just see it as something, 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 but you're emphasized in nothing. Yeah? No option. In nothing, there's no option of something. There's just nothing. I bet you I can find something in nothing. Well, go ahead. Try it. The beauty thing is when you try to find something in nothing, you'll get exhausted, and what's so will always be so, and hopefully it will reveal itself to you in your world of options. Hey, now you think, oh, this is a new option. I can entertain I'm not that. No, what's entertaining you're not that is not that. What you are doesn't have to entertain you're not that. Yeah. All right. I'm ready to go now. I got my second wind. I'm ready for 15 rounds. Bring it on. Bring it on, Pal Talk. Yeah, let's see you there.